What is up, everybody? And we'll get going here in just a few minutes. All righty, guys. Good to see everybody. Good to see you, Farmer, Silas, or Silas, whatever. Good morning, Kristen, Christine, Sensei. How are you? Misty, Jill. How are you doing? Ziggy, Jerry. Good morning. Hiawatha. Yeah, that's true. Well, let's do our best to see if we can today. Because honestly, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I say we look at the facts and try to make a determination. I haven't seen any concrete evidence of it yet. Yeah, that's the key word, right? Yet. And I think that's a fair statement. Good to see you, Phil Bond. Welcome on in. Chopper, good to see you. Feel like I haven't seen you in a minute. Steph, how are you? Cheeks, what up? Stephanie, hello. Shadowbox. Do you think he knew that this Andrew Kalowski, is that his name? Do you think he knew that he was a cop? Good to see you, Cheeks. Misty, how are you? Julianne Purdue, how are you? Return the diamonds. When we don't have the facts, that's like ignoring the elephant in the room. Yeah. See, that's a good point. And you have a lot of people who've let themselves become convinced one way or the other without having all the facts or thinking they have all the facts, right? They don't have everything. Chopper, what is the link to France? The link to France would be the Yubo or the Yellow app. And if anybody went and watched Tom Webster's interview with Keegan Klein, there was a lot of good stuff in there. Kagan was talking about tracking people, tracking his friends. And Snapchat didn't offer the tracking, but you could use the Yellow app with Snapchat, and they allowed tracking. So it would make sense that they're connected. And I know Farmer did some digging into that. So if you have more questions about it, I'm sure he could help. All aboard. Stephanie, welcome in. Good to see you. Cheeks, I still think there's something with it. Too much coincidence. What's up, Tattoo? Julianne, what's up? Rescue, how are you doing? Nixon, good to see you. Still say they're intertwined. Well, I mean, if you go through all of the information, it's hard to dismiss it. I think it's easier to dismiss Keegan Klein's involvement in the murders in some way, but his knowledge of it, I think it might be a little bit easier to dismiss all of that. But if you go through his probable cause affidavit from when he got arrested for the CSAM, it clearly states in there that not only him, but other folks were taking screenshots of all of this information. So he doesn't have to share with anybody Abby and Libby's information. He doesn't have to sell it to them. All he has to do is show it during a conversation. They can screenshot it, and he has no clue that they now have that info. And it clearly states that. Here, let me pull up this little piece from the probable cause affidavit. And another interesting thing from Tom Webster's interview is KK actually admitted that he physically sent money to one of his victims. He tried to downplay it like, oh, she knew who I was. It was different with her. And, I was never in a room with a bunch of people. As she says, yeah, maybe it wasn't him. But he did admit to sending money. Everybody's so curious, what's going on with the money to Libby? Oh, well, they just meant photographs of money. Well, in the interview with Tom, he clearly states, I sent money to this person. And this is somebody who testified against him in the court of law. Okay, so it states here, there were no chat conversations from Skype or Kick Messenger recovered from his device that had evidence. Multiple still images depicting females posing nude and or partially nude or performing sex acts on themselves were found. The ages of the females were indeterminate. Multiple user saved screen captures of conversations were found. Multiple. Right? This could be the killer. In one screen capture, the sender specifically identified the receiver as Keegan Klein. So this person knew him personally. The user saved over 200 still images to his device. Over 200 contained location data that was embedded into their file. Approximately 27 of the still images depicted females who appeared to be at least 14 years of age or older. Some of these images depict nude female breasts, female genitalia. Some of the 27 images were geolocated to Indiana cities, including Bunker Hill, Galveston, Indianapolis, Kokomo, Monterey, and Royal Center. Each one of these locations could be the killer, right? Using some public Wi-Fi away from their home on a burner phone, or maybe even the McDonald's Wi-Fi. And there is one right next to the CVS. So it was a good point that was also brought up in Tom's interview was the IPs that are connected with all of this, all of the communications and with the Anthony Shots account, anybody logging in, logging out. I mean, we could be talking about a public IP address here on a burner phone. What's up, Alora? I wish we knew more about what was found on Richard Allen's home in regards to his computers and whatnot. I don't think there was anything found on any computers. I don't care if he had 100 phones there. People just do that. People are pack rats. I got a box of old phones. I don't know why. I don't know why they're in there. I have to struggle not to be a pack rat. It goes against everything that I wanted. I just want to pile it all up, you know, because I'm the kind of guy that I know in the future I'm going to need something for something, you know. I just can't. It's just a bad habit. I have it under control, of course. I'm not a pack rat, but man, I want to be. And in some cases, I am. I think I have like 6 old phones in my garage and at my workbench, sitting in a drawer. Hiawatha, good to see you. How can we be certain anything when we don't know all the facts? I'm not convinced of anything when it comes to this case. I agree. So either we can put it to rest or we can say, hey, we're not ready. Whatever determination we make as a group, that's what I'm interested in. I want to know where you guys stand right now. Sensei Sleuth, do you think it will come out in trial? I don't know, because if Richard Allen did not act alone, the person that Keegan Klein knows, he may know the killer, but it doesn't mean he has any knowledge of Richard Allen. Richard Allen could have been recruited. He could have been friends with this other person, or it could have just been a Richard Allen too. What's up, Ruckus? Good to see you. How you doing? The emergency presser at 10 at night and the shots profile saying they were supposed to meet the girls that day, but the girls never showed, tells me there's something with it. I agree with that. And why would they waste so much investigative efforts on Keegan Klein? Why would they let him go for 3 years? And then why would they do the emergency presser that was obviously aimed at social media? They either believe the killer was on social media or that social media could help in some way. It took one day for a reporter to figure out that Anthony Shots was created by Keegan Klein. And come to find out, he's been in custody already before that for a year and a half, I believe. And that law enforcement was fully aware who created the Anthony Shots account. Kind of reminds me of law enforcement asking for the driver of a vehicle, not the owner of a vehicle. Just weird shit like that. Richard Allen could have been stalking them. He lived so close to Abigail. He could have seen her outside playing and become obsessed. Let me tell you the reason I don't think that fits. But it's possible. You know, we don't know why crazy people do what they do. But this seems like a motivated crime. These people were highly motivated. And what motivates? Money motivates. Gel motivates. That's why I've always discussed the potential of an inappropriate relationship. And I've never said there was an inappropriate relationship between Abby, Libby, and Richard Allen. It's possible. I'm just saying somewhere along the lines, there is this inappropriate relationship. You know, that would make sense to me, that Abby and Libby are aware of this. We know that Keegan Klein knew the person that introduced him to Libby. So we have no clue if those folks set up Libby. We don't know if those folks have a connection with Richard Allen. There's just a part of this that we don't quite know, that may not be in any of the police reports here pertaining to Richard Allen. I think there's still a large investigation going on behind the scenes. And if it doesn't pertain to Richard Allen, you may not know it until it does, right? Return the diamonds. What's up? Have to stay open minded and take in the info as we get it. Full disclosure is necessary. Hopefully, this comes out in trial. And if others are involved, then possibly more arrests. Yeah, I think it is possible. It's me. It's a me. Nice, farmer. Nice. RC99. I know this is beside the point, but KK getting 40 years is insane. In most countries, he'd probably get 5 years at most. I don't think it's insane. We cover these cases all the time, and sometimes they get less, sometimes they get more than that. Oh, tell Drew I said, what's up? Yeah, Drew's a good guy. Keep up the good work, Ruckus. Cheeks, Keegan's bullshit on, oh, I never met the girls, blah, blah, means nothing to me. When almost all of those girls he was catfishing were in his state around him. That's a good point. Everybody was in within driving range, a stone's throw. Some of those states too. Bunker Hill are those towns: Bunker Hill, Galveston, Indianapolis, Kokomo, Monterey, Royal Center. Like, who are all these people? And if they're taking screenshots of what Keegan Klein's doing, who's to say they didn't take a screenshot of Abby and Libby's information? Cheeks, this tells me he did intend on meeting them if he got the opportunity. His long sentence is what makes me think he may be more involved than what we think. Okay, so there was a guy recently who was sentenced to 14 years for having AI created CSAM. So Keegan is not getting a long sentence. Remember, he has a long list of victims. Each one of those families deserves justice. And when it accumulates, that's what you get. You get a 45-year sentence. Here's another one. Sentenced yesterday for possessing CSAM. LaSalle Johnson, 55, was sentenced. Let me see what his sentence was here. Okay, so he had 2 counts and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison just for 2 counts. Springfield man gets 15 years for 2 counts of CSAM possession. Previously convicted sex offender receives over 30 years for using Snapchat to produce CSAM. Man sentenced to 170 years in prison for possessing CSAM. Arizona man Timothy Burton McGee was 56, has been sentenced to 170 years in prison for the possession of horrific CSAM materials. 170 years. Here's another one from 2024. Sex offender guilty of hacking Jaguar's video boards has been sentenced to 220 years in federal prison. Samuel Arthur Thompson, 53. So yeah, it's not unusual what happened with Keegan Klein. An IP address on a burner can still be narrowed down to a location. Exactly. That's why if you're going to go do something like that, wouldn't you drive away from your location? Maybe to Kokomo? When they go search that location, you're not going to be there. I don't know if they can narrow it down to a specific time. I'm sure that'd be helpful. CJK, nothing points to KK being involved in the actual murders. I agree with that. Did he interact in some way with Alan? We don't know that. I don't think so. But just because Keegan Klein is an idiot and he didn't take precautions doesn't mean that Richard Allen didn't also. I'm not ready, Purdue. I'm not ready to put it to rest just yet. I was hoping you guys could help me out. Sees through says his friend was his neighbor. Could they be sharing Wi-Fi from KK's? Well, what a lot of people don't realize is that KK was not living with his dad, TK, at the time of the murders. He was actually staying with his neighbor at his parents' house in the basement. And Keegan Klein states in the transcript, not only did his neighbor slash friend, who became his roommate in Las Vegas, have access, but he also stated that his neighbor's friend, or excuse me, his neighbor's dad had access. And he said that he was a creepy guy, that he was a bad dude. Do I believe that? No. Should I dismiss it? No. That could be the guy right there. That could be the link to Richard Allen. These people are the same age. They look identical. They both have similar family types, similar jobs. I don't believe one word that comes out of Keegan Klein's mouth, but that is interesting. And he never really harped on it. He mentions it once in a sentence and then it was gone. And for them to let him go to Las Vegas with his ex neighbor and this same son of the person that he's saying also had access, who is the same age as Richard Allen, for all we know, that's what they could have been looking into, was the communication between those folks. Regis says, did KK meet with the drug dealer on the day of the murders? And if so, who was it? No. Keegan Klein said that while he was in Las Vegas, the reason he was using a burner phone that he quote unquote found in a cab, he only accessed this for 2 out of the 4 days he was in Vegas, or 2 out of the 5, maybe 3 out of the 5 days. And he was looking up, he had CSAM on he only had it for 3 days, and there was already CSAM, multiple registrations from Keegan Klein, photography, this and that. Looking up prostitution. He was looking up the Delphi murders on the burner phone. And amongst all of that, he was trying to meet somebody on Craigslist to sell a large amount of drugs for one. He said for one of his friends back home in Indiana. I'm going to tell you guys right now, nobody is meeting anybody off Craigslist to sell drugs. Nobody is that stupid. Now, could they be selling pictures of dead children? Possibly. While they were in Vegas, somebody on Keegan's phone was looking up dead bodies from the Sandy Hook victims. To me, that's dark web stuff. That has dark web written all over it. And if you had a physical camera with, let's say, a memory card, and you have video of the crime and photographs of the crime, that's big money, So if somebody came up to Richard Allen, somebody who has a wedding to pay for, a funeral for his best pal and brother-in-law, if somebody comes up to him and says, hey, dude, if you help me do this, I'll give you $10,000 cash. That to me, that makes more sense and could explain why we're looking at Richard Allen as like this harmless guy, no criminal history. How could he do it? Look at him, Maybe he just plays a smaller part in all of this. Hey, Mark. Hey, Alora. Thank you for the Cash App. That was very nice of you. Yeah, everybody who sends cash to the Cash App, that's going directly to the cases that I'm working on. It just stays there. I don't touch that money unless we hit the road. If I need coffee, if I need gear, whatever, it goes to these cases that we're following up. These missing persons cases that we're helping with. Alora, they probably thought he had connections to the killer. Yeah, and why did they think that? We always assume that it's Keegan Klein that they were after in Vegas, or why they let him go. What about the roommate? What about somebody who's associated with the roommate? For me, the part that I can't get over is the pre-planning that I see in all of this. In the middle of the day, this highly motivated. It's almost like, okay, we got them. They're going to go to the bridge. It's go time. It's now or never. Our plane tickets, we're leaving to Vegas. If we're planning to make a business transaction, which there's really no proof of other than the burner phone and the Craigslist stuff and them stating that they know other people were using the Anthony Shots account. That's really all we have to go on. Stephanie, I don't think KK would meet anyone in person. He wanted pictures and money, in my opinion. So why catfish local people? Why not just catfish across the entire country? It's almost like his job could have possibly been the targeting aspect, right? If we're going to kill somebody and we're going to take photographs and video because we have experience on the dark web and we see those prices. We see what they're paying for this. He's going to want to catfish these girls if they're potential targets where they're in a location where they're attainable. Hey, Charlotte. KK lies so much. Anyone has seen the interview released February by another YouTuber? Just lies. Yeah, that was Tom Webster. I recommend you guys go watch it. It's like there's nothing there, but there's a lot there. So anybody who was confused about Keegan Klein sending money to people, it comes right out of his mouth. He says, "Yes, I did. I sent this person money." Oh, just for food, right? These folks, what it is half truths, right? First, it's a half lie mixed with a little bit of truth. Then it's the truth, but their involvement is minimalized, or they say it was self-defense. Okay, we're looking for the shooter. We have all this evidence against you. We know that you killed this man. Okay, I admit it. I did it. But it was self-defense, right? It's just a slow confession. Hiawatha says there's no proof KK said I was supposed to meet them that day. No, there's only evidence that somebody using the Anthony Shots account said that. And he said the one person that he admitted to possibly wanting to meet knew what he looked like. So that was the difference in that scenario. But that doesn't make sense. Why is he catfishing somebody that knows what he looks like? Same goes for Libby's friend that introduced her to Anthony Shots. He says that she knew who he was. So, that's very suspicious to me because one of the people that he's referring to is now a convicted felon who was part of a violent crime. I think it was like an armed robbery. Like a teeter-totter to me. I'm neither pro-prosecution or pro-defense. The evidence will or will not come out in trial. I hope. And remember, in trial, all they need to present is the evidence against Richard Allen. They don't need to release anything else. They have their case against Richard Allen that he's the bridge guy and that he kidnapped them and it led to their murders. Whatever else happened, they don't even need to bring that up in court. For all we know, they could be building a case against other people. Yep, exactly, Charlotte. Just Keegan Klein and Richard Allen can be playing the same game, right? Little old me, I'm just this poor, dumb guy. I'm lonely. I don't know why I did it. I was just lonely. Like, shut the fuck up. We don't know half the shit that Keegan Klein was into. And he sure as hell isn't going to tell any of us. Yeah, I have that. Return the Diamonds. Let me pull it up for it. But he could be lying, right? He could have been there as well, for all we know. They say that him and his dad they say that he didn't pass his lie detector test. We hear a lot about his father taking a lie detector test and passing it, but no officials have come forward and stated that. So anybody who believes that is taking it directly from the mouth of TK. And just like Keegan Klein, they let him go for 3 years. So who's to say they don't have this guy running around in hopes to catch him slipping up? Okay, here we go. This one is titled Keegan Talking to Libby, page 126 of his transcript. Says he talked to her for a few hours at a sleepover and then blocked her because she was annoying. Yeah, I don't think these are the right ones. Hold on. All right, this was in a folder titled KK Trying to Meet Abby and Libby. Okay, right here it says, mind where the girl contacted Anthony Schatz and said, "Did you hear what happened to Liberty?" And Anthony Schatz responded, "OMG, what happened?" And then she goes and tells him what happened. And Anthony Schatz says, "Well, I was supposed to meet that girl, but she never showed up." So this is what law enforcement told Keegan Klein, that they got this off of the digital forensics. Thank you, Growing Crazy. I appreciate that. And they say, let's focus on that one conversation of evidence we know is true. And it doesn't matter if you remember or not. So I think that's a good example right there for you. I was supposed to meet that girl, and this is while she's missing, right? They're looking for her right now. OMG, oh my God. What do you mean, oh my God? Wouldn't you just be like, oh yeah? Well, I'm sure they'll turn up. But OMG. So why would you say I was going to meet her, but she never showed up? Why would you say that? And then here's Keegan Klein. Why would I ever go meet someone? Probably the same reason you're catfishing people that are within your own, near your own home. Thank you, Purdue. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you who helped make the drone possible. And when we get enough in the Cash App, we'll go out. We'll go on another search. Good to see you, Don Spain. How do you like your shirt? If it's not the right size or whatever, let me know. I'll send you a different one. Charlotte says KK had a plan. What was it? Why victims so close? Internet is a worldwide reach. Look, they've captured some real sick monsters. And for whatever reason, they target Indiana, but these folks weren't from Indiana. And I'm referring to sextortion. There was a prolific sextorter out of California that was arrested, and he was targeting people all over the country. And I believe a couple of his victims even took their own lives, like more than one. This was a real monster. But he definitely wasn't catfishing anybody near him. So to me, this looks like targeting. Chopper says, who are the other persons involved in the paperwork Greeno has? He mentioned it was a female, so it could be the girl at the sleepover. Maybe she has a connection to Richard Allen. Maybe that's the inappropriate relationship. And Richard Allen was told that they were going to tell on him. Like, hey, these girls found out about what we're doing. And then they begin to catfish her. Good to see you, CJK. ST3. The prosecution told the defense KK, Odinus, Ron Logan will not be admissible in court and to not bother. Why would they say this? Because it's not part of their case. And for all we know, well, we have some documents that show that Keegan Klein was listed as a confidential informant. So maybe that was a warning about that. Take care, Purdue. Have a good rest of your day. It does, Charlotte. It's kind of like a gateway crime, too. I could totally see Keegan Klein saying, oh, man, this is very easy. If I can fool them into this, I can fool them into a trap, maybe. To where it won't matter if they see me, right? They might realize that I'm not Anthony Schatz, but by then it could be too late. Wouldn't even matter at that point. It's me. KK being on the discovery list makes me still think he knew something. Thank you, Purdue. No effects. What up? Let's see what else we got here. No, I'm saying I probably said that, but I'm saying I would never go meet somebody. The girlfriend I have now, I wouldn't even meet. And what's disgusting is the girlfriend that he had when he got arrested was another friend of daughter of a friend of his who he was originally catfishing. And this is interesting. And this is something that I overlooked early on. Investigators say, and I can see that happening. I mean, I can see you making a statement of, oh man, this girl wants to meet up. She's going to the high bridge today. And then whoever you told that to went to the high bridge and committed the murders. He says, I would never talk to somebody about girls I talked to or nothing. That's not what I would do. Well, we know that that's a lie because in the probable cause affidavit, he was sharing this information with dozens of people and they were screenshotting it. So that's bullshit right there. But then again, we have to go back to that one narrow scope of conversation where we're looking at. Why would you say that other person? Why would you say, as Anthony Schatz, I was going to meet that girl and she didn't show up? So if Keegan Klein didn't say that, who did? And if Keegan Klein did say it, what does that mean? Right? That means he's directly connected to this. There's no way they're letting him go for 3 years. There's no way they're going to hesitate on the Anthony Schatz account until it's the very last second, where now it's strategically important to release it. Why would they talk about the Yellow app, which is used to track while connected with Snapchat? All right, investigators. So Anthony Schatz. So when they were asking you, did you send her images? You said no because you didn't, but Anthony Schatz did. He says no because I don't remember sending them anything. I think that's a lie. And remember, he did fail the polygraph. He blamed it on anxiety. Okay, well, I'm telling you, here's 3 off the bat. Here's another one. Here's a couple more, actually. And then here's one sent specifically to her. Is it bad that I'm super into you? Kagan says, I would say that to every one of the girls. I mean, it was the same thing with every one of those girls. But when you're telling me you never sent her or Anthony Schatz never sent her, he says, because I don't remember ever sending her anything. I don't remember ever even talking to her. I remember talking to her friend, right? Now, this is the friend at the sleepover. And Kelly was saying something very disturbing on Anthony Greeno's channel the other day. She might have some helpful information about this. She said that the people at the sleepover, and I don't know how true this is because this is the first time I've heard it, said that Keegan Klein was trying to convince the girls at the sleepover to shove a carrot down their little brother's throat and to get it on and send him a photograph. Now, what is he doing with that photo? So I'm very curious as to what Kelly was referring to on that. There might be something much darker that was going on at that sleepover that Abby and Libby were exposed to, and maybe they were going to tell. Who was the friend that mentioned in the interview yesterday? Do they know Richard Allen? Yeah, I'm not going to I'm not going to provide that name. But I think it is possible that the motivation could be much closer to Abby and Libby. Maybe even a friend. Also, the person KK was living with besides DH, who was C, was allegedly dating Ski Mask Girl. No, that was Killer Cam. And I don't know why I can't get his name out of my mind and his connection with Florida. And I think TK's living in Florida. I don't know what all that means. But my gut tells me there's something with Florida and that it's been that way since the beginning. You guys don't have to pay any attention to that. That's just something that I'm dealing with. But yeah, Killer Cam. He was dating the girl that introduced Anthony Shots to Libby. Susan, having burner phones that have suspicious use is different than just having old phones. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. So if KK's roommate is dating Ski Mask Girl, no, he's not dating Ski Mask Girl. Cameron Patton was. Cameron Patton also moved to Las Vegas with Keegan Klein and the roommate for a short amount of time. Yeah, right? Farmer, like, come on. And tell us a little bit, Farmer, about how the Yubo app is connected to Snapchat and how you could actually, it was used for the tracking purposes at that point until later in 2017 when Snapchat added their own tracking. Hey, Misty, I think so. When you got Keegan Klein looking up the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre in Vegas while he's looking up the Delphi case and how to track IP addresses and things like that, if his IP can be tracked through social media, that's got dark web written all over it. Using a burner phone to contact somebody on Craigslist, and then the moment you get back from Vegas, there's a search warrant served on your home. And when they ask him, like, do you know why we're here? He says, yeah, I should have packed another bag. I knew I was fucked. He told law enforcement he was going to sneak out on his dad. So this tells me that Keegan Klein might be much more involved and that Tony Klein has no involvement in this. And that Keegan Klein would want you to believe that. Oh, it wasn't me, it was my dad. Yeah, you might as well walk into the police station, right, Farmer, and say, hey, I would like to make a drug deal. Any of you guys interested? I appreciate that, Alora. Thank you so much for the donation. We'll put it to good use. Yeah, I can't get over the fact that this appears premeditated. And I mean, if you're this impulsive psychopath and you're looking for a victim, wouldn't you maybe drive to another town, try to kidnap a child? Like, why would you go to the trail that you're known to frequent? Wear what appears to be somewhat of a disguise, back your vehicle in. There's even rumors of the vehicle having a fake license plate on it, which would even, and that's just rumor, don't quote me on that. But if that's something that's going on, that's more premeditation right there. And that could be why they don't know whose vehicle that was. Yeah, farmer. All I'm saying is money motivates. Money motivates. And after covering a lot of these stories about the dark web and things that go on, there's big money to be had there. And I just feel like somebody like Keegan Klein would be well versed in that. Well versed. Hey, Lynn, I don't know if KK was in Delphi. I know his phone was attached to a Wi Fi hotspot that belonged to a cousin of his near Peru, and he apparently was looking up pornographic images at the time of the murders. I don't agree either, Charlotte. I don't agree either. And if Richard Allen and possibly another killer are down there for an hour and 45 minutes, from the point they took the girls off the bridge, there was an hour and 45 minutes of time that passed. It's a lot of time to be down there when you just committed a crime, spur of the moment, that wasn't planned out. Like, what are you doing down there? It sounds like you're capitalizing on your investment. And another thing we've learned from cases that involve the dark web is that, and including the Yubo app, is what they would do is they would live stream. Why is my phone not charging? Oh, shit. Hold on, guys. Okay. Oh, and Sensei, I forgot to tell you that I have tracking information for your prize that you won during the giveaway. So if you don't get it in, in a week or so, let me know. I have the tracking information. You can track it. Yeah, so some of these dark web crimes involving the Yubo app, and we know that that was the latest piece of information that they were asking the public's help on, was a Yubo app that was created by 3 college students in France. Well, and I've gone over this. You can go look at my 2 episodes I did on the dark web. What they do is they go on, people will access the dark web and they will pay money to gain access to a snuff film that was being live recorded. And if you wanted to spend big money, you would go and click on a specific link, and once you made the transaction, you could tell the killers what to do during the live stream, how to torture these people. So what are you doing for an hour and 45 minutes down at this crime scene that they believe has been documented? Something very strange, right? Hey, beautiful one. I will be so interested to see what the prosecution actually knows about any connection. I don't think we'll hear it during this trial. The only way we're going to hear it during this Richard Allen case is if he confesses to his involvement, why he was there, why he was assisting, or just to clarify, like, look, this is what I was doing, this is why I did it. He might have his own reasons, and it could clear up everything that way. KK is a dealer, just not drugs. He wasn't there in person, in my opinion. No worries. Problem we have is KK lies through his teeth. Yeah, but remember, the devil's in the details. If you listen closely enough, you'll hear the truth in there. Hey, what's up, wife Lilith? KK has 100% involvement somehow, somewhere in the Delphi timeline. Nothing will change my mind. You might be right. And if anybody knows, it's you. I mean, if anybody got anything out of Keegan Klein, I believe it would be you. What's up, Frank? Does anyone think Richard Allen was one of the older men who was communicating with Abby and Libby within weeks or so before the murders? I don't know. I really don't know. Misty says, I think if he was involved more, he would have been charged. Well, they got to prove it. And if he's not going to admit it, that's going to make it difficult. It makes their job hard. And Keegan Klein can just be playing dumb. I mean, he can't stop injecting himself into this case. He's doing interviews with YouTubers and stuff like that. I mean, that's textbook right there, guys. That's textbook injections into this whole situation. There's no evidence that KK said that, but there is evidence that the shots profile did. Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to make. And according to KK, he is the only one who has access other than his dad. No, in the transcript, he says that his neighbor has access and his neighbor's dad. His neighbor's dad lived in Peru and is the same age, close age to Richard Allen. Not saying there's anything there, but hey, there could be. We keep looking for a connection between Richard Allen and Tony Klein in Peru. What if it's a connection between the neighbor's dad who lives in Peru, who had access to the Anthony Shots account? And there's no evidence to support that other than Kagan's lying words. But the thing is, he didn't really focus on it. He just mentions it once. Like, oh yeah, I was living in my friend's basement. And that same family later came on an interview and talked about Keegan Klein and said, "Oh, I didn't even know who he was." So you're telling me there was a guy living in your basement, you didn't know who he was? A lot of little things that are hard to just kind of accept. Yeah, that's true, Farmer. And that didn't seem to add up, right? Him saying he was with his dad all day, they were watching WWE or something like that, some pay-per-view. And the truth is his phone was connected to a Wi-Fi and was scrolling and searching and watching porn at the very moment the girls were murdered. So did he have somebody, some sicko, borrow his phone to establish the alibi? I mean, how sick is that? You're looking at porn during this murder of two children that you've been catfishing? Like, what are the odds of that? Like, that's just very disturbing to me. I don't know who that is. You might need to refresh my memory, Farmer. TJ, what up? Good to see you. Is that your puppy? It's a good looking dog in that photo. Don Spain. I love the shirt. I am like suave waffry. I am everywhere. Yeah, I like that shirt. Sleuth Crew. We're everywhere. Leslie, how are you? Um, Regis, who was in Richard Allen's group of friends at the pool hall? Has any of them been arrested for anything since February, March 2017? No, because I think that's where he was hiding. I think he was hiding. He was very different. If you look at the photographs of Richard Allen before and after the murders, he's very different. He's very skinny. He seems like he liked to get really drunk. You know, he had short hair, trimmed hair, and a stubbly goatee. But now after the murders, that's when you see all the pool hall stuff. You see Richard Allen put on some weight, and he almost seems to have taken on the identity of Libby's dad. If you take a side by side image of Libby's dad, Derek, and Richard Allen after the crime, it's like he's trying to look like him. And I know that sounds like some psychobabble bullshit, but I mean, it's very interesting how the FBI human behavior analysis people were saying because of how different you are after the murders. Well, you're very different. Richard Allen was very different after the murders. But I think I have a group photo, and I don't think anybody at the pool hall had anything to do, unless, you know, I am suspicious of that Nebergall character. But the only reason I'm suspicious about him is because just a month before the murders, Nebergall was arrested at a party with one of Libby's 18-year-old friends, Kyle Smith. So there could be a connection there. And Nebergall is best friends with Richard Allen. And you wouldn't need a catfish scenario for that. See if I can find that photograph. Oh, there it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure all these people are shocked. But I mean, it's possible. Richard Allen never had a goatee like this before. There's no photographs of him having anything like this. But now he's chubby. He's got these chubby cheeks and a big beard, just like Derek German. What do you mean I look like a killer? I look like the victim's father. This is definitely something strange about that. This guy kind of looks like the bridge guy. Yeah, I'm sure all these guys are shocked. It wasn't me. It was the one-armed man. The fugitive? No, nothing. Oh, did I miss this? By the way, law enforcement is still taking tips on Anthony shots. It's never too late for the thousands of victims who didn't come forward. Keegan's still not charged for all of his victims. CJK, yeah, Kelly Brown. What's up, Purple? It's difficult to know what's bullshit or true from these transcripts. KK is such a BF liar, and the police being able to lie during interviews. That's a good point. That's why you got to meet in the middle somewhere. Like when law enforcement says, well, what about the Anthony shots money going to the girls? And then you have Keegan Klein in an interview with Tom Webster saying, well, yeah, I actually did send money to one of my victims. To me, that's confirmation that there's more to it. How did he send money to that girl? You know, was it similar to the method that was used to send money to Libby? Yep, they all three live together. The neighbor, Killer Cam, and Keegan Klein. Killer Cam. Now get this. Killer Cam was dating the girl that introduced Libby to Anthony Schatz. Now he's living with Keegan Klein in Las Vegas. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe. But I doubt it. I really doubt it. Hiawatha Sluice, was there actually a ski mask incident or not? I say yes. Frank Meister said there wasn't because there was no police. Well, he hasn't. That's his opinion. That's not mine. I don't subscribe to that. To me, it hasn't been debunked, not even close. From what I read, Yubo was directly tied because it was owned by Snapchat or affiliated cross marketing wise, anyways. Yeah, I think there was a partnership between the two at the time. If you accepted yellow as an option through Snap, it was automatically link your friends list. And you could track them that way, the same way you're able to track them now. So if you're able to track people, that's an easy way for Richard Allen to determine if the girls were at the trails that day. And if they're leaving group messages and remember the first photo at 2:05, those were all Snapchat photos. And we don't know if there were more. There could have been Snapchat photos from the house saying, "Hey, we're on our way to the bridge." Farmer says also the live room feature allowing up to 12 accounts to link anonymously to watch whatever sick shit you do. Yep. And it's a fact that Yubo has been used in the dark web for snuff films. Not this case didn't happen in the United States. I believe it happened in Italy, but anybody who was accessing the dark web could access the live feed. The name KK gave me and the name I seen is unredacted transcript wasn't Cameron. Is that who you're talking about in Vegas? Yeah, Cameron, Killer Cameron Patton. And I do know that Cameron did live with Dirk and Keegan in Las Vegas and was also dating one of the girls that I don't know if it's the direct girl, but it is a family member, one of the girls that introduced Libby to Keegan Klein. Welcome in, Sherry. One thing that's also very disturbing is if you look at someone like Rex Heuermann. Let me pull it up. Viewer discretion is advised here. Now I'm going to pull up his internet search history. It's a lot like Keegan Klein's. And I don't want to disrespect Libby, but she was a larger girl. Short, fat girl tied up. Chubby 10-year-old girl. Chubby 10-year-old girl crying. 13-year-old schoolgirl. See, so I don't know why they're into that shit. These people have their own preferences. Could be highly sought after. Why? I can't even begin to break that down. You're going to need some type of medical degree to explain that shit. This prosecutor is in his first murder case. He lost evidence, recorded over. There better be more evidence. What are you talking about? He was a lawyer for years before he became a prosecutor. What are you talking about? Kind of sound ignorant there. No disrespect. Appears to be. But he could be a lesser of two evils. Not much less, but there you go. Like a disinformation specialist, fragments of truth will be included in the bullshit. Yeah, whatever pieces together the story and benefits you in the end is what is the way it'll be spliced. Anna, KK's supposed to meet and she didn't show. Did she call an enforcer to track her down at the trails where she planned to meet school friends? So I'm trying to figure out. This doesn't seem like a crime of opportunity. You know, where's the secretion from Richard Allen? Where's all the DNA? We hear talk about a partial fingerprint, a human element, and a science element. Okay. None of that is tied to Richard Allen. But yet, law enforcement seems to think that he is the bridge guy. So what is his role in the murder? To me, the answer is there's more people involved, and Richard Allen may have been recruited or highly motivated to silence Abby and Libby. SD3 says there's no evidence that this was filmed and shared. I wouldn't say there's no evidence. We just haven't seen anything to prove that. So we haven't seen any evidence. To say that it doesn't exist, we just don't know that. Yeah, see, Farmer, we haven't seen the evidence. Exactly. And if it pertains to another suspect, they don't even have to talk about that. For all we know, Keegan Klein has admitted to knowing somebody else. And by giving that person's name, they were able to find Richard Allen. And they could be building a case on this other person and not use any of that information in the trial against Richard Allen. Therefore, they wouldn't have to bring it up. I think I might know who you're talking about, Sees Through. You talking about the Blaze Jones account? A known felon who was trying to communicate with them. That was talked about a little bit in Hannah Shakespeare's Lost documentary. KK refused any Webster follow-ups because he was way too forensic in his question. Yeah, those were precise questions. And a lot of information, in my opinion, was gleaned from that. So shout out to Tom. And if you guys don't know, Tom is a stone cold killer. Hands down. KK has said things to me intentionally and unintentionally several times, long before it came out as something in the case. Example, he slipped up and told me the girls were laying next to each other. Yikes. That makes me think maybe he did see some photographs. Why is he looking up Sandy Hook dead bodies in Vegas while he's using a burner phone to look up the Delphi cases to find out if he can be tracked, if his IP can be traced through social media, and then he's trying to meet somebody on Craigslist for drugs? Bullshit. There's something more here, guys. They didn't let him go for 3 years for nothing. The day he came back from Las Vegas and not even a couple of hours went by, they kicked in his door. They didn't kick in his door because of CSAM. They kicked in his door because they were serving a search warrant on the Delphi murders. He went to Vegas on the 21st. So they had all of his information. And then when he came back, he said, "Damn, I knew I was fucked. I packed an extra bag and I plan to leave." Like, what does that all mean? Anna says it was suggested earlier that Abby was at a sleepover with Libby. No, she wasn't there. I don't think so. Libby had a fight with a friend over Anthony shots the next day. She was spending time with Abby. I don't know when the fight happened specifically, Anna, but I do know that that was true. It's me, Lilith. I just can't rule him out. I just wish I knew the connection to Richard Allen, because Richard Allen is definitely the bridge guy. ST3, I don't believe anything from KK. I believe law enforcement, and they have said nothing about a film or anything. That's not true. The FBI stated that, and they believe that the crime was documented, and that they're focusing on during their search, while they're serving these search warrants, they're focusing on any possible method of documenting any digital in a digital form. So yeah, law enforcement has said that. And time again, I've showed you guys cases where people have documented this and even sold photographs and videos of their victims. And another Indiana case, the Darren Schillmiller case, he did something very similar. He catfished a girl in Alaska, and we know that there's an Alaskan connection. Coincidence? Most likely. Well, he catfished this girl, and first he was sextorting her, getting her to attack her own little brother or little sister. One of her siblings was very young, and she was providing CSAM with her family members to Darren Schillmiller, who was catfishing her. He was portraying himself as an older millionaire. So once he got her to do these crimes, he knew he could get her to do much, much more. So he convinced her to murder somebody and get it on film. And while she was filming it and while they were committing the murder, he was on the phone with her and he was telling her what to do, how to do it, and explaining what was going on to him. So this shit is real. It happens. A long time ago, I asked if it would be necessary to figure out who was using phones at certain times. Answer, yes. KK on the phone at his cousin's or phone used by another. That's what I'm saying. That would be a good alibi, right? It's like, okay, Kagan, look, you're the only one that can be connected to our victims. You need to have an alibi. Lilith, that's when he was telling me about something else that got him started talking about Vito. He said they wanted me to tell them how they were laying on the ground and what was around them. This was after. Okay. So he had intimate knowledge of the crime scene. But I do have a feeling that the crime scene photos, if the killer documented the video or took photos, I have a feeling that it is on the dark web. And I think that's why we have multiple leaks. We might have a leak that's coming from the dark web where the photographs were either taken by some of the journalists and the photographers that got there before law enforcement. We know there were two. We've named them. Or it was the killers or the person who purchased the information, who placed this photographs and videos on the dark web. And that was the initial leak. And there may be 3 leaks. I know that some folks had their hands on the entire case folder. There could have been crime scene photos in there. Okay, that makes sense. After his conversation at Grissom Air Force Base with the guys, they could have been asking him, if he had intimate knowledge of the crime scene. Yeah, that's very interesting. Hiawatha, this crime was recorded for sure. Well, what are you doing for an hour and 45 minutes with 2 girls that you just killed? Wouldn't you commit the murders and then just bail out of there? Like, what are you doing? You're doing something. You're highly motivated and you're trying to capitalize on what you've just done. Otherwise, what is it that you're doing out there? If this was a crime of opportunity, something that, he was just triggered, because we know that does happen. We know that from the Brusha case. Here, let me show you guys that case again. So Carly Brusha was walking home, and this reminded me of Delphi. But there's a huge difference here, guys. So here is the kidnapping CCTV footage of Carly Brusha being kidnapped, and she would be found raped and murdered shortly after this. Okay. It's like the bridge guy video. Look, he showed her something in his pocket. Probably like a fake badge or something. Look, he pulls it out of his pocket and shows it to her. I don't know if it was a gun or a knife or what. So this is what the bridge guy did with one of the victims, and told the other if she didn't come that this person would get hurt. Now, the difference between this idiot right here and the Delphi idiot, this guy's still wearing his work uniform. See this white box here? It has his name on it. It's his name tag. This is what a crime of opportunity looks like, guys. Unplanned. There's no planning involved. It's like, I can't help it. I'm going to do it. I'm a sick SOB. I have zero self-control. I didn't even take any time to plan this out. I'm on my way home from work in my personal vehicle, and I've committed this kidnapping and murder. There is a difference between this opportunistic killer and the killer that is on that bridge in Delphi, in my opinion. God rest her soul. 12 years old. She was murdered and dumped like trash. That's not what happened in Delphi. The killer backed his vehicle up, apparently seemed to know that the girls would be at the bridge, covered up his face, concealed his identity, was way overdressed, and spent an hour and 45 minutes with his victims near the crime scene. Why? That doesn't make sense. There has to be an explanation for that. Wife Lola, Erskine Tech said Abby was sitting on the ground up against a tree, not laying next to each other. That's true. Because Erskine didn't really have firsthand knowledge. He could kind of see the crime scene from a distance, but most of the information he got was secondhand from somebody who was actually there, who saw it, who was most likely Pat Brown. That's a good question. Anna says, I don't see Richard Allen as the only perp in this case. I could see him peripherally doing something stupid for a friend. Yeah. And getting paid. That's what I'm saying. Could explain why the defense says he's innocent. Well, he's not innocent of the charges, right? If he's the bridge guy, he's being charged with kidnapping and murder, or kidnapping that led to murder. They can lie about certain things, Sherry. They can say, we know you were there. They can't say things like, I have your DNA. We have your DNA. But they can say, they told us you were there. Or we have information that you were actually there. So just admit it. So they can't just lie about it. They can't just say whatever they want, but they can mislead for sure. Lilith, yes, I do believe 1,000%, 100,000%. KK knows who Richard Allen is, and Richard Allen knows who KK is. Sees through that maybe it either way. He also told me days after Richard Allen arrested that Richard Allen DNA wouldn't be at the crime scene. That's interesting. Yeah, we'll have to follow up on that. Don Spain, leaning against a tree is what I remembered. I don't put a lot behind the Erskine text. He was in a creek and saw them from a distance. Yeah, I mean, we can look at them. It says here, no, that's not her nor Libby. Abby was placed there on the ground like a doll, hood up, hands folded, wearing the same clothing as the pic from the bridge. Whoever did it targeted Libby for sure and knew what they were doing with Abby. It was personal with Libby. Libby's head was an inch away from being taken completely off. Abby was stabbed in the heart, an artery in her neck. So yeah, it doesn't say that she was sitting up. Maybe right here. They were not bounded. They were touching, but not tied together. Abby was dressed. Libby was nude. Libby's top half was covered with leaves and sticks, almost like they were trying to cover her up. So it doesn't look like they state that she was sitting up. But it doesn't say that they were laying next to each other either. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about them being next to each other. I always remember up against the tree. So when KK said that during our visit, I gasped. I know that there was discussions out there about that, but I think that was people kind of just kind of making an embellishment on the Erskine text, maybe. I thought the propped against a tree came from the Beyond Highbrow guy. Yeah, it could be. That could be. Sherry Wilson, no coincidence. There are no coincidences. Unfortunately, there are, and that's how innocent people go to prison. Wrong place, wrong time, looking like the person. One time, a killer spent 10 years in prison, and the person who actually did it was his brother. So they had the DNA, and they couldn't exclude him, and they couldn't prove that his brother had an alibi. He didn't. 10 years later, he was acquitted. He was freed, and his brother was placed in prison for life. So coincidences are a real thing. Go watch the first 48. In every episode, they have a coincidence where they bring these people in, they interrogate them, and then they find out that, it's just wrong place, wrong time. And I'm talking some really strange things, like this person looks like the killer. He was right there, no alibi. And then boom, they have the DNA and a confession from somebody else. Yep, that's true. Hey, Misty, welcome to the Sleuth Crew. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining the crew. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. Trigger warning. Thank you, Farmer. All right, we're going to finish up the chat, and then we'll get out of here. I was hoping to put this to bed, but doesn't look like we're going to be able to. Gail, hello. I remember something about Klein photography. Scary weirdo. Glad he is locked away. Yep. He got exactly what he deserved, if not more. Yeah, maybe so. That's why it takes a bunch of us outside the box thinkers to try to put it together. I think he was in Delphi, if not at CS near the trails. I wouldn't doubt it. I think he was wearing all black, if I had to guess, that he was wearing that day too. And I think the Delphi crime scene was messed with during the night. Evidence added or removed. Yeah, we saw what is his name? Stefan Stearns in the Madeline Soto case. They said another vehicle, after his vehicle went out there and she was dumped at the dump site, a white vehicle went out there. So yeah, it does happen. Probably getting in their head, like, I need to go out there and hide evidence. I have time now. Maybe I need to get out there and conceal some things. Or maybe they left some evidence with Madeline and they needed to go pick it up. Sees Through says, the problem I have with it being planned is them not knowing they were going until Kelsey. What makes you think that nobody knew that they were going? Their friends had already been there for hours. Their friends were there for about 2 hours before they were able to get a ride. Not only that, they were up all night. They were up into the late hours of the night and up at about 10 a.m. So what makes you think that nobody knew that they were going to the trails? It's not like they just made it. They just came up with the idea. Their friends were already at the trails. They were hoping to meet their friends. So I don't know where you're getting that from. I know people who try to put Anthony Schatz to rest and Keegan Klein to rest and all of this. They like to mention that, but they can't prove that. That's just their opinion. To me, it's obvious that it's likely folks knew. And we don't know. From my understanding, there was several Snapchat photos that are not several, 7 Snapchat photos that were sent out by Libby. And we've only seen 2. So they could have been saying, hey, we're going to head out to the bridge. Today we're going to the Monon Trail, to the High Bridge Trail. To say that nobody knew, that's a huge stretch in my opinion. Ignorant is a little harsh. Maybe not privy. Well, not privy is ignorant. I can't help it if you take offense to that word. You know what I mean? I'm ignorant to a lot of things. That just means that I don't have a good understanding of it. I'm not educated on the matter, which would make me ignorant. Can't help it if you get triggered. Yeah, he was. I showed that photo. He was a lot thinner. I wouldn't call him thin, but thinner. Coincidence? Yeah. I can't help it if people are going to get triggered by the word ignorant. I'm not calling you stupid or dumb. Ignorant means you're just not educated on a matter. If you get triggered by that, you have other issues that don't involve me. Boss lady, welcome. Hey, it's a me hooked up somebody with a membership. Appreciate you guys for supporting my channel. Hey, Pipers. I think those CSAM search terms are very relevant in this case. So do I. Alala, what's up? Can we confirm that the petrol station was Googled that day? I don't know that. I have no clue. That came from the murder sheet. You'd have to ask them. They did have some sources. But it's my understanding that what was going on with the Marathon gas station had to do with one of the first search warrants that was served over at the Maxwell property. One of the Maxwell boys had stopped at the Marathon gas station, and on the CCTV footage, there was blood in the back of his truck. And he was kind of dressed like the bridge guy a little bit. Not quite, but very similar. But the truth was he was out deer hunting that day. And I think he had just finished up processing the meat or something. And I believe that's in the full case folder for the Delphi, in the Delphi case folder. Yeah, it might be true, Anna. And that could be the inappropriate relationship that we're sensing. I mean, why was Kagan asking Libby's friends to make their little brother deep throat a carrot? That sounds like something you would put on the dark web or sell to one of your pervy little sea-sammer buddies. So yeah, there could be more there. There could be more there, and that could be what Greeno was talking about. That there was a woman mentioned, but I don't know. I don't put too much into all of that until I see it. Andrew Aki also called me a few times on his cell phone with KK in a non-recorded room and tried to get loud with me. That's why KK fired his attorney in the end, because he was leaking info. Had to be him. At the time, the prosecutor said they thought others were involved. They still say that, you know, and it's different when you initially make an arrest, you know, the few days or weeks after you say that, you know, because you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. You say, well, others could be involved. We're not quite sure. You know, let us conduct our investigation. That's not what happened. They did a presser and they sealed these. You know, they sealed the probable cause affidavit. They were adamant that others are involved, and they were doing their best to not mess that up. And I think that's the fine line that we're riding right now, is them trying to proceed against Richard Allen without messing up a secondary investigation. Because it's very tricky. Either you have to include it in the court case, meaning that eventually it's going to all be made public and it has to be documented, or you have to keep it secret and you can't include that in the trial process. You can't use that as discovery or anything. It has to be completely separate. Because we know damn well if they made it public, we know what the defense team would have done with that information. All they care about is winning. They don't care about Abby and Libby. They don't care about Richard Allen. They don't care about the court process. They don't care about justice. They just care about not losing this case and tarnishing their reputation. So they're going to do it by any means necessary. Even at the behest of a potential secondary killer. If it gets their client off, good. Or if it helps their client, they'll do it. It's a good point, Charlotte. That's definitely not him. It's possible sees through. Because there were multiple leaks. The actual real crime scene photos were leaked years ago. And there are a few people out there that had the entire case file, which may have included crime scene photos. Oh yeah, that too, Farmer. Yeah, Anna. They all see something different. Everything they see, what they see, it's just strange how it goes to their theory and their bias, right? That just shows how you can, you know, your theories and everything can be skewed. Lilith, to be honest, I don't think KK thought he gave enough to law enforcement during the Grissom Air Force Base interview, like taunting them, and was scared when he found out Richard Allen was arrested. Well, I know for a fact he freaked out when he found out. It's interesting. Yeah, he did own a car. I think he said something like an old Grand Am or something. So he's just a huge liar. At one point, he'll say, "Well, I don't drive," and then in the next sentence, he'll say, "Oh yeah, well, we had a car." Well, yeah, Lala, there were two professional photographers there on scene, and they were already leaving. They were leaving the scene of the crime before anybody really actually found the girls. So they're leaving. We know the girls were found at around 12:15 officially. Well, these guys were already leaving the crime scene area. So they could have easily have gone down there, taken the photographs, and got out of there. And they don't even have to be close with those high-powered lenses. You know, they could have been across the creek and zooming in. We're talking about some legitimate equipment here. Richard Allen was arrested. He wanted me to call an attorney ASAP. I also know he was shown a pic of Richard Allen to identify on the 27th. It was referred by some as the golden ticket. Yeah, they thought he did. And if he didn't, why did they waste so much of their resources and time on him if he's not? So that would also upset me. Who's Lorman? Hey, Red Queen, what's up? I hope you're having a great day at work today. Enjoy your day. Both from Peru. A little old. TK was a little bit older than Richard Allen, but close. Close in age. It's a me. Lilith, do you know much about the river search? All right, guys, this will be our 10-minute warning. So if you have anything you want to add, let's get it in there now. I'm doing my best to catch up on the chat. Question: if Richard Allen left the area from Ron Logan's house to walk to his car, would that be the area where he was seen? Just asking. Yeah, somewhere by the cemetery, I think. But the muddy and bloody guy, or even if he was just muddy, he was on the north side of the road. So if he came out of the cemetery, he would have crossed the street onto the mirror side. And that's where he was seen. But what I don't understand is you had Tara German and Derek German sitting in a vehicle at the Mears lot. So that means either Richard Allen got back on the trail once he was seen on the road, or he went behind the Mears property, which really wouldn't put him far out of his way. But I think he would definitely want to avoid the Mears lot. And anybody sitting there would have seen him, and mentioned it. Like, there's a muddy and bloody guy walking down the street while our kids are missing. Lola says, yes, he can and did drive, just no license. Yep, right next to the cemetery. Well, not only did they, It's a Me says, they finished the river search and then Richard Allen was arrested. Not only that, the day that they started the river search is the day that they took Keegan Klein into custody. They took him they took him into ISP custody and took him to Grissom. And Keegan said, oh, well, I know that Lilith didn't tell them everything. It's almost like that's why he wanted to go to that interview. He wanted to see if what he told Lilith, he wanted to know if she had told them. And after that, Keegan told the murder sheet that he was confident that she didn't tell them everything. But the way that translates to me is that they didn't tell Keegan everything that she told them. Because that same day, they began the Wabash River search. 4 weeks into the river search, they handed over a lost tip narrative to the investigation. And then they only spent one more week, exactly to the day. I'm talking exactly 1 week from when they handed over the tip narrative. They said, we'll spend one more week. So they must have found something that identified Richard Allen in that search. And they were also looking for something secondary. And the rumors that came out early on were that they were looking for a phone and a knife. Oh, yeah, you're right, sees through. It does say something like that. Let's see. They were not bounded. Yeah, which was a lie too, right? It says they were not bounded, they were touching, but not tied together. So I guess it would kind of make it seem like they were laying next to each other. I'll buy that. Hey, support with Steffa. What's up? Why would Doug Carter and the detective show up to KK's sentencing hearing if KK was not involved? Yeah, why would they kick in his door? They served a search warrant on him for the Delphi case a few hours after they got back from Vegas. Why would they do that? Well, it's because the Anthony Shots account was communicating with Libby. They didn't make that up in the interview. That's the very reason they conducted a search. They weren't lying in the interview. They needed that to get a probable cause to search the property. I agree with that, Lilith. And once Richard Allen confesses officially and makes a deal, I think we're going to learn a lot more about that. All right. I'm going to skip a whole lot of this and go down here towards the bottom. To meet at the end of the bridge at 2. KK said has told girls to meet at the end of the bridge at 2. Yeah, he could have been setting them up, attempted kidnapping. I mean, what's down the hill, right? A private drive. Where does that private drive go? It goes to the Weber property. Where are the Webers? Well, they're in Arizona. They're snowbirds. Okay, what about the other people that live there, like Brad? Well, he doesn't get off till 4 p.m. that day, or 3:30. So he would have been getting home just shortly before 4 o'clock, which is probably what scared Richard Allen off, or whoever else was down there. Possibly, right? The timing makes sense. But if Richard Allen works at the CVS, that's most likely where the Webers were getting their prescriptions from. And if they're transferring their prescriptions from his CVS to a CVS or Walgreens in Arizona, they may have even processed that through him, or he could have had knowledge of that. Typically, that process would be done through your doctor, but he could have known. Like, hey, you're not going to see us for a while. We're going out of town. Oh, really? Where are you going? Oh, we're snowbirds. We have a place in Arizona. We'll be back in 2 months. Okay, so nobody's going to be at your property? Oh no, my son, he's going to be looking after, and he gets home around 4, so we should be fine. Okay, let me, and he writes that information down. During the New Direction presser, Richard Allen is the answer to all of the questions, why Abby and Libby? Why Delphi? Right? Richard Allen, we now know, frequented those trails, and he's from Delphi. Richard Allen is the answer to all of the questions they asked at the New Direction presser. Who parked at the CPS building? Richard Allen. Hey, Nana, what's up? He either said at the end of the bridge or under the bridge. I don't remember now. Hey, Chandler, what's up? Don't forget, KK says when being pressed, I probably did say that. Yeah, he could be much more involved, guys. So he doesn't have any motivation to talk. He could just be being driven by his ego to inject himself, right? Oh, I can control the narrative. I'll tell a half lie or a half truth, and I'll control the narrative. I'll steer it. Good to see you, Chandler. Yeah, Anna. Ignorance not a bad word. I'm ignorant about a lot of shit. I can't help it if people get triggered by that. Oh my God, Sleuth called me ignorant. That motherfucker. Unsubscribe. Sorry. Sorry that you're a triggered person. Can't help you there. Yeah, and if her friends, Farmer, were there, if they, they must have been there way before, I don't know, like they had to have been there probably at least by 12 because they took a photograph around the bridge at like 12:30, 12:45, and then another one at like 1:26. So they spent a lot of time there. And if Abby and Libby, their whole purpose of going to the bridge that day was to go hang out with their friends. So to me, it's apparent that whoever had eyes on that group of friends knew that the girls were going to be there that day. Yeah, Stefan, I don't know how true that is. That was something that Kelly had stated, and she's done a lot of work on this case. So I'm not doubting it. And I would really like to talk with her privately. So if she's watching, hopefully she'll send me an email or something. I would like to ask her about that. That's very interesting. I think that's important. That kind of goes to the whole mean teens theory, which, the prosecutor is bringing forward what I call the every case. So it doesn't matter what theories you have about the other suspects. The only question they're going to ask is how does Richard Allen tie into that? So we could have a mean teens, we can have an Odinism, we can have a whatever, but you need to explain how it ties in with Richard Allen because they plan to prove that he is the bridge guy and the kidnapper who led the girls to their death. So Richard Allen could be connected with Keegan Klein and these people that Libby was staying with, maybe an older sister, older friend. Maybe there was people there that were doing some really messed up things, got exposed, and they used Richard Allen to take care of it. Okay, let's pull that up. So we know that officially Keegan Klein was listed as a confidential informant. Now, all you ex-law enforcement can kind of explain how that works and if that could be held from the defense team if it's not being used in the court by the prosecutor. I don't see why it would need to be included. And also, remember, the defense team has had so many tricks up their sleeves. Don't forget the prosecution. They have a few aces, I'm sure, as well. They're all very sneaky, snaky little lawyers. All of them. So I wouldn't be surprised from curveballs from either side. Okay, so here are the documents proving that Keegan Klein was taken into custody by ISP the same day that the Wabash River search was conducted. Right here, filed August 19th. Motion to seal. Grounds for exclusion. Notice of exclusion of confidential information from public access. So this could be why they told Baldwin and Rosie that they can't mention it. Not because it's exculpatory, but because it's confidential. It says right here, with this motion, as the release of this information would severely hinder the efforts of law enforcement officers in the course of an investigation, the Delphi investigation, I affirm under penalties of perjury that forging representations are true to the best of my knowledge. So they're telling us right here that this has to remain private. These are the documents that they filed when they took Keegan into custody and over to Grissom. The reason they brought him to Grissom was to talk about the Delphi case. August 19th was the day they started the Wabash River search. 4 weeks later, they handed over a lost tip narrative with Richard Allen's name on it. 1 week later, the search was concluded. 1 week after that, Richard Allen was being interrogated. Another week after that, his home was searched. Temporarily place the defendant in the above captioned cause into the secure custody of the Indiana State Police, and that upon the conclusion of said temporary custody, that the defendant be returned to the custody of Miami County Jail. Dated August 19th. Okay, I want to thank Growing Crazy for that awesome contribution. Thank you so much. Misty for joining the Sleuth Crew. Boss Lady for joining the Sleuth Crew. And It's a Me gifting somebody a membership. So we typically get together on Wednesdays and Thursdays, guys. Hey, Gail, how are you doing? Rumor of blood in that person's truck cannot be true. It's true. It is true. Yeah, that's possible, Anna. Yeah, we've made that speculation before. Yeah, hit me up, Farmer. I'll be in the Discord today too, so. Yeah, that's possible. What's up, Crow? I don't think it's Richard Allen or KK. Oh, yeah? Anything I like. What are you up to? Good to see you. Sorry, we're about to get out of here. If anybody's part of that replay crew, drop me a comment or something. Let me know what you think. So I guess we're not ready to put this to rest, huh? I tried. I don't think so, Sherry. I don't think they're going to take him into custody just to intimidate him. I have a feeling the whole reason they were searching that water was because of him. Him and something that was going on with Lilith. Growing Crazy. Justice for Abby and Libby. Prayers for their families. Thank you for that, Growing Crazy. Crow. 4 others and a kid. Wow, that's a lot. The Weber's Drive. Historic Road. Logan was the bridge guy. Well, Anna, I mean, it's just hard to understand. It's hard to for him to be the hands-on killer and them not to have any like I don't know, DNA and things like that, at least that they're not talking about right now. And they might. We can't assume that they don't. We know that it hasn't been provided to the public. And if they do have anything like that, the defense is not going to leak that to the public. I don't want anybody going to the prof channel. I don't even want you mentioning that name here. Yeah, that makes sense. Ooh, it's a me. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you. Thanks, Chopper. Good to see you. How you doing? What are you up to today? Thank you, Misty. Thank you guys for participating in the chat. Good to see you, Lilith, and all of the crew members. Yep, I think that's what that's how we're going to summarize today's live streams. Right here, what Don said. We can't put anything to rest when we don't know all of the facts. So we tried, but we just don't know all the details, and it's still very early. As much as we want to, he just hit it on the head. So yeah, we got you, wife Lilith. We got you. Thank you, Regis. Yeah, leave a comment if you guys are here. If you want to follow up, you can shoot me an email too, sleuthintuition@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment after we get out of here. Whatever floats your boat. You got it. It's a me. Thanks for becoming a member today. Mustang, what's up? Sorry, we're getting out of here, man. We're getting out of here. Yeah, Titus. That's who he blamed that he was trying to find drugs for on Craigslist. And nobody does that. Nobody in their right mind would make contact with somebody on Craigslist for drugs. Thank you. Caricature, good to see you. All righty, guys. That's it. I'm out of here. It was nice hanging out with you guys. We tried to put it to bed. I just don't think we can. Maybe soon. Like I said, any day now, we should be seeing some type of an agreement, I think, between the prosecution and Richard Allen. Right. You guys take care. Be safe. And I'll talk to you again real soon.